happening?
I was requesting to come in. and it was just said that there was a request, but then nothing was happening.
Oh no. Okay, we managed. I'm glad.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so hello to everyone who is joining. Thank you to Fanzineist Vienna. We are happy to be part of this art book and zine fest. Very glad to be here. And so I'm Caterina Ragg from Milan, Italy, and here with Adriana Monsalve, directly from California. And we are the two femmes behind the Homie House Press. So for those of you who don't know us, we are an independent publishing house that started in end of 2016. We work with the photo book format, with stories that are at the intersection of personal, political, and poetic. Since 2016, we have collaborated with a bunch of different photographers and artists, especially femme and queer artists and photographers, or other underrepresented identities. And we hold space for those stories. We combine photography, text, and other media, trying to intersect everything. And today we wanted to talk about our latest publications and the one that are on display on the Fanzineist Vienna website. Since during the last years we didn't have a chance to attend any festival in real life, we wanted to, kind of recreate the vibe of talking with people and explaining our books. And so here we are. Should we start with the...
Oh, Kate, did you want to tell everyone about if they have questions?
See, true. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to read the questions in the comment, or wherever is possible to write question, and we will be happy to answer.
Yeah, cool. Kate, thank you for this very cute intro. And yeah, we're really happy to be with Fanzineist Vienna and with y'all that are tuning in today. And so yeah, we're just gonna go over a couple different books, and we're excited to share with you. The first book we're gonna talk about today is Versions. Versions is a project that we did with a student in Baltimore. Cassie Megan Myers, she wanted to talk about, this was like something that we got to do, pre-pandemic when we were still in classrooms. And oh, thanks, Kate, for showing, well done. Yeah, this was something we got to do in 2019, maybe it was 2018, I don't remember now. But it was a project where the students were looking at publishing, at making work that was using photography and text, and it was the first time they were making their own stories, and they were basically the prompt was that they were meant to be doing things in the essence of Homie House Press, in the sense of personal, political, and poetic. And so this student wanted to talk about the different ways that we talk about introversion and extroversion, and how like it's not just doesn't have to be so binary. This can be a non-binary thing where it's a spectrum, and sometimes people feel one way. They feel like when people say, "Oh, I'm an introverted extrovert," or whatever, things like that. She made basically a visual language for people to talk about that in more ways than just extroversion and introversion. She made this spectrum that got this showing you, where she asked her friends to put themselves on the spectrum from introversion to extroversion, and with those colors that they chose for themselves, then like each of the pieces, the spreads in the book kind of pertain to like how they're talking about that. And we thought it was a really special project for a youth to do, to kind of make a broader sense and space for themselves to identify in a more expansive and and a necessary way, right? Like this is different ways of talking about identity outside of sexuality, outside of religion, outside of gender, outside of race, just talking more about the way we actually relate. And yeah, so that's what Versions is about. So yeah, and it's a really sweet project, and there's very few copies left, so go get them. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a few copies in the European headquarters. And like as Adri was saying, this is all work done by students that we mentor, but it's done by them entirely. Another super cool project that it's on sale on the Fanzineist Vienna website is Girls in Gaming. The artist is Jessica Heinz, the author. And it's also a very personal and political project that explores the experience of femmes in the online gaming world. And it's a collection of images, of portraits, of interviews and screenshots where Jessica highlights the sexism and the racism that exist in these online communities that, as you can imagine, are mostly occupied by male identities. And it's a world that Jessica knows very well herself, so it's really start from her own experience and involve the testimonies of other people, and basically they highlight the problematic aspect of the community that maybe other people don't know about, and that it's also they are all very young, the people interviewed, and the concept is amazing. The design is very beautiful, we think, and yeah, of these there are also very few copies left, and it's a great book, a great zine, and very interesting.
Cool.
Adri, I think you froze. Ah, okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. Now you're here.
Yeah. So the next location that we have on view with y'all at Fanzineist Vienna is Palette. This one's really big. It's hard to hold the phone and it at the same time.
Yeah. I can show it.
So Palette is this really oversized newspaper that we did with the food community in Baltimore. And this is all different kinds of cooks and culinary workers, not just cooks, but also just people that are invested in the ways that we can all be fed and that we can all like sustain each other through different food ways that this community of people put together in Baltimore. In Baltimore, just to be clear, because I know like we're in Europe and different things, different people are joining from everywhere. Baltimore is in Maryland. It's in like near the DC area, the metropolitan area. And the project basically is talking, about the different ways we can sustain each other. And it's focusing on basically 4 different organizations in Baltimore and the way that they are doing food justice. And there's also inserted throughout it is different like visuals about chicken boxes. And chicken boxes is probably, you're not sure what that is. A chicken box is basically, you can find it everywhere in Baltimore. Chicken boxes are just basically it's like the styrofoam box with like a certain number of like pieces of chicken as well as French fries. And it's sustainable food, meaning that like in a lot of places people would say that this is hood food and that that's not like healthy food, but this is food that keeps like our communities alive. And it's really like challenging the way we talk about like what is good for you, what isn't, and all these different things, and how like that pertains to Black and brown communities, and how these foods are sustaining for us, and how making food accessible is like number one to that. So it's a project that goes into a lot of different ways. Definitely talking about food justice, and yeah, it's really thorough, and there's so many different collaborators, and there's translations. Like it's not just in English; it's also in Arabic, it's also in French, and it's an absolutely gorgeous project that gets into really beautiful visuals with photography as well as poetry, and chicken and foodways, and really exploring what a place like Baltimore that is so segregated, how it's devastating to the community with the way that food is taken in and distributed within a big city. Yeah, so it's really educational. And Palette came out 2 months ago, 3 months ago now, maybe 2 months ago now, and it's almost sold out. We have very few copies left, so get them while you can.
Yeah, and also as I mean, it's a beautiful project, and like many of us in Europe might think this is an American problem, like we have nothing to do with it. But like also from a European perspective, it really made me rethink a lot of things about the food industry in general, and it's like it's a very actual and about our time project, and definitely we should all think more about how we eat and how the food industry in general is working, and how is disadvantaging some people, and how there is so much injustice in it, and there are a lot of things that we take for granted when we shouldn't actually. And also there are a couple of questions that I saw that maybe we want to answer. So one is, generally, how many copies do you publish for your publications? That depends really. Like of the two first zines that we showed you, we printed 75 copies. Of Palette, we did 300 copies, but generally, yeah, I would say between 100 and 300.
Yeah, I would say we have yet to go above 500.
Yeah.
That is our like highest limit. But yeah, we're usually in the 200 to 300 range. That's our average. Yeah.
And the other question was, what's been your greatest challenge as publishers during COVID?
I guess, I mean, the immediate answer for me would be like just reaching the community that this is for, like Zine Fest, and art book fairs and all of that is such a, I know that like, yeah, so many organizers have been working so hard in the past year to make it an online experience, and although like so much gratitude for that, and like grateful for all these spaces, yeah, it's not the same as physical. It's not the same as like not knowing who anyone is and just walking into a room and being attracted to a physical object and like immersing yourself into it, and like really supporting artists that you don't know, just purely being able to like from the senses, from the way it feels, from the way, yeah, the visuals. So a lot of that is lost, and I feel like Homie House, we do very much indulge in all the senses. Like we are really detailed about the colors, we are really detailed about the way things feel, we are really detailed about all those things. And so yeah, it's sad, like all the connections that we haven't made this year, like all the new friends we haven't made at zine fairs and at art book fairs. Like, I mean, that's something I think I've been mourning for a long time, like all the new friends that I haven't gotten to make through books. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. And like in general, the physical experience in these spaces that are independent and that are not so known, like well known, it's really where you create community. And as much as the virtual spaces have been helping us a lot in going through this last year and a half, like we like the way we created community before, and we connected with people, not just customers, but also artists who wanted to collaborate with us. It's something that it definitely has been a challenge. And but hopefully we can go back to meeting physical again.
Hopefully end of 2021, beginning of 2022. Yeah, we can physically put books in your hands again. Yeah, that's really sad.
And there is another question. That's a deep one. What do you think about independent publishing's future?
I mean, I think honestly, I'm more positive about it than I used to be. I think when I first got into this, like when we first started Homie House, I felt like, oh, this is so niche. We're just gonna, like, this is not a long lasting thing. This is only like a passion project. This is very for us, by us. But now more than ever, I feel like as like the world is changing and people are realizing that like it's not just like about representation, it's more also about like what we're actually saying. And so people are like, I don't know, a lot of our communities, underrepresented communities, historically excluded communities, queers, femmes, black and brown folks, yeah, like we're realizing that like, yeah, like we do have a lot to say, and we need a space to say it. And I feel like every year we get busier and busier. And through a pandemic, I'm still so surprised that me and Kate as creatives were like fully employed. So I just feel like, I feel like the future of independent publishing is bright. I do. I feel like it's bright, and I feel like it's chaotic for sure. It's chaotic, and it's definitely not linear. Like, but it's definitely, there's a lot, there's space for it. There's space for it, and it's needed right now more than ever. And my community needs it so much right now. And it's in demand. So
Yeah.
I think the future is bright. There's room for a lot more people like us to like help put these stories into archival form, and to make it something where that's sustaining and like long lasting.
Definitely. No, well said, Adri. I'm with you in being hopeful for the future and for the next generations. And yeah, also independent publishing is something that has been ongoing for so many years. And yeah, it's like, it's not getting better, the situation, it's just getting worse in a lot of sense. And we need to, create these stories that and have the freedom to, make space for the communities. And especially, yeah, for young people, we love to collaborate with young artists that might not have the opportunity, and the connection to the mainstream medias. And we love to give them the confidence and the space to express their voice. And yeah, hopefully the future is bright.
Yeah.
And so one more book that we have that we wanted to present is Faith by River Cuello, which is who is an Ecuadorian American poet, performer, artist. This is the second book that we published together. The first one was Self-Ser, and the storytelling follow a similar way, in the sense that River mixes a lot of mediums, poetry in the first place. They always write bilingual book, so in Spanish and in English. And they combine a lot of self-portrait and portraiture of themselves, and in this case also illustrations, and with the really beautiful writing. In this case, Faith Fe, it's divided in chapters. The mountains, no, the storms, the rivers, and the mountains. and in each chapter they talk about the power of faith, the manifestation of death and rebirth. It was all written between United States and Europe during 2020, so a year that we all remember, and it really talks about queer love, trans resistance, spiritual growth, intergenerational connectedness, and going from Spanish to English, it crosses every type of border that you can imagine, and really resonate, like all the words that they write, even though they are about a very personal and intimate experience, they really resonate with the human experience, really. And also, this one was published during the last month. We have some copies left, both in the United States and in Europe, and we really wish more people had the chance to read it and see it in physical, because it's a really beautiful product, and the poems that River writes are very deep and amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, check out Faith Fair. Yeah, we'd love for y'all to spend time with it. There's another came through. Do you have any other tour plans in the next month? I guess it's hard, just because, like, right, most fairs haven't said that they're going in the physical yet. I mean, we've been talking about doing polycopies.
Yeah.
Doing polycopies in Paris in November.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility that Kate could go to.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be possibly one of, like, the first physical fairs that we go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Be our first time doing polycopies. So yeah. We're also planning a zine fest for next month.
True.
Here in Cali, at Reparations Club Bookstore, which is a really cool independently run bookstore in LA, Los Angeles. It's called Reparations Club. Shout out to Reparations Club. Look it up. That's the tag, their profile name, Reparations Club, and you'll find everything about them. We'll start hyping that soon, because it's next month. And yeah, it's gonna be a small zine fest, though. It's gonna be organized by us. So, and it'll be a small zine fest, probably like 7 different vendors, in a bookstore. So, yeah. But as for, like, yeah, I think that's the only physical things that we have, like, on the docket for right now. It's still, like, at least in the USA, pretty slow as for, like, people actually gathering for art and things like that.
Yeah, also here, I think. And I mean, I've heard about some physical fair that they're doing, but yeah, we didn't go because I mean, planning nowadays is crazy. But I mean, hopefully in the next month also, yeah. But yeah, right now, if you are in Cali, definitely check our Instagram for more news about the collaboration with Reparation Club.
Yeah, if you're in Cali, we definitely can physically see you.
Yeah.
At the small zine fest that we're gonna do. Yeah. Is there any other questions about anything y'all have heard so far? Please don't be shy. Anything that's coming up for y'all? Okay, well, the next thing that we're showing there at Vienna. Oh, so a question. Do you invite Oh, like, how do we get collaborators type of thing? That's, like, I feel like, yeah, we definitely work. I mean, it's very collaborative space. It did start as Homehouse Press did start as a self-publishing space where we were publishing my work, and then like we started bringing in our friends and like realizing so many people need this space. So yeah, it's very collaborative. There's all kinds of people that we work with that aren't me and Kate, yeah, that aren't Homehouse Press per se, um, and and it works so differently. Like sometimes people slide in our DMs, and that's how a relationship starts. Sometimes we meet people at fairs, which is a huge one. Like I love that. And we have been able to do that this year so much. Sometimes people just will email us asking, how do I send a submission to Homehouse? And it's like, you just did. Like, it's that, just send me an email. Like, we will take a look, and if it's something that we feel like is at the intersection of personal, political, and poetic, then we can start talking about it. And also that is something that can be maybe nuanced for some people. The idea of personal, political, and poetic, where for me and Kate, like really makes, for us, it's like pretty clear what is or what isn't. And so if there's something that you're submitting to Homehouse that we feel like, oh, this is really personal, but we're not sure what political is, if you're willing to connect it to something political and we can help you do that and you're open to that, then yeah, we'll publish this with you. We'll help you produce this. And yeah, we understand that like that can be nuanced, like, and also like the poetic part, that's also, we feel like that's the Homehouse part, where we help this become a book and we take like your ideas out of the digital and put it into the page, and like that's a lot of our work, and like art directing and designing and like narrating and flow, and that's stuff we can do together. But yeah, there's no one way to collaborate with us. Like I don't know how many books we've made now, honestly, but every single time it's looked so different. Like every collaboration works so differently. As for the way it starts, through like all the way until like the way that it gets distributed. Yeah, it's really different. And also, not to mention that each book, like we do that we're not like committed to one thing. Like we're not like, we only do newspapers, we only do zines, we only do books. Like it's like every time every time is like we're really challenged. Every time we're really challenged, and it's a totally new experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and we really collaborated with, I've lost count of how many people. Some of the collaborators, I mean, the Homehouse Press started as a photographic space, but then we expanded. So maybe a lot of collaborators are mainly photographers, but also we collaborated with scholars, with artists, with poets. So it's really like a space open to a lot of different voices. And how about the distribution is the other question. We mainly distribute online from our channel, so from our website. We have some copies of our books in independent bookstores, mainly in the United States, and when we can, we attend book fairs and zine fest, and that's how we showcase our work.
I mean, it's true. Like zine fest and art book fairs, when they were in the physical, that was the main one. But now the main for our website, so all of that really matters to us. It really makes a difference for us to be able to like keep making books, keep making zines. Distribution can be tricky in so many different ways, especially right now. But we're trying. We're still trying to figure out like what's the best ways to navigate all this digital space.
And we have one last publication that we wanted to highlight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Clear as Black. Oh, we have a question about something. Okay, I'll talk about Clear as Black quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So Clear as Black is a project that is actually started before Homehouse Press. It's a project that I did for my thesis for graduate school. And basically it is a deep dive and exploration investigative project that is looking at nuanced Blackness and is looking at like the illusion of identity through all the different ways that Latinidad, Latinx is talked about in the ways that like I don't fit into any of the labels or I do fit into all of them, and really challenging the ideas of anti-Blackness within like Latinx identity. Yeah, and it's a project that's ongoing. Clear as Black is, right, it started like 7 years ago, and but it's still ongoing, and it's something that there's going to be more chapters on it that just hasn't been printed, and it's really personal to me. It's something that started my first investigation into identity. I started with racial identity, and it's kind of been my passport into all kinds of different ways of looking at how where I fit, and what is home, and how do I identify, and how that changes. It's constantly changing and evolving and growing, and I guess being really fluid too as well. So yeah, it's a really special project to me, and we've done, I want to say, like 14 different editions of this printing. So this is something that we will probably keep printing until we don't, I guess. Like we have, so these probably won't run out per se, but yeah, still go get them while you can. No, really, really sweet and really important project to me. Yeah, that's Clear as Black.
Thanks, Adri, for talking about such a personal project. And yeah, it's been some years, but it's still important and beautiful, of course. The question, I think, was yes, I don't know how to pronounce it.
The ISBN stuff?
ISBN, but we don't do it.
We don't do it. We've been asked this before, like when some collaborators have asked us, can we put an ISBN on their book type of thing, and we don't do it. We've never done it. We don't believe it's I think that's part of being independent. Like we can choose how we want to fit in the mainstream world, and so far that's not something that we're willing to do. It's something we feel like we need to do. And I'm gonna flex just because I want to, but we're in the Library of Congress, and then if the Library of Congress is okay with us not having ISBNs, like they don't need that to catalog us, then no one else should either. And also saying the Library of Congress, I know, is also like, that's like basically paralleling it to like, right, that's a really white supremacist place to parallel to, and to say like that's hierarchy. So maybe I shouldn't even be saying that in that way, but I feel like if they can figure out how to categorize, everyone else can too. Definitely. And really ISBN and ISS and all that stuff is like making it, like a lot of that stuff I feel like is part of like functioning in that like correct way of categorizing and of archiving, which is all part of like what's his name, the guy that started doing the archivist, the way that librarians archive. I can't remember his name right now, but he's super, I mean, that's super racist, his whole system of cataloging. So the act of not including ISBN to me is really, it's a form of resistance, and it's a form of anti-capitalism, and it's a form of, I mean, anti all the things really. So yeah, we don't fuck with ISBNs. And y'all can look up the guy that started the catalog. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know.
a horrible racist person. We don't fuck with him.
Wait, there is another question. How you deal your distribution and possibility of show your work on these recent times, this COVID and difficult times? Yeah, we mentioned this before, and mainly this during this last year and a half has been through our website. We have an e-commerce, a way to sell our books from online. We have all the titles, description, pictures. So thankfully, like this has helped us a lot. And while before physical fair were the main way to distribute our books, our publications, during this last year has been this, and using social media. That's what we have been doing. And yeah, if you have other questions, let us know, or otherwise. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
let us
say
know.
bye.
Right, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but
Yeah.
these are the books. Come check them out. There's more books on our website if you do make it that far. There's tons of other cool things. We got these guys for you too. We don't have time to talk about them with you, but they're really special projects too. Sammy's and Love Raisul. If there's anything else you would like us to cover, we're happy to, but we don't want to take too much more of your time.
Yeah. Anyway, this was fun.
Yeah, this was cute. Thank you guys for your attentions, for being engaged, for asking questions.
And if you have more questions later, you can message us in our Instagram, Homie House Press.
Sure.
We have our email, our website in the bio, so you can reach us in whenever for any collaboration or any question. Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to slide in our DMs. Yeah.
Definitely check the Fanzineist website. It's full of cool exhibitors and publishers.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely go check it.
And thank you, Denise
Denise.
Bizarre, for organizing and being really like facilitating everything, especially through the chat right now. Like you've been facilitating so much, and we're really grateful for
Yeah, thank you.
helping us have this run smoothly. Yeah, I think that's it, y'all. Thanks for spending this time with us. Yeah. Be well. Take care.
Be well. Thank you, everyone.
Peace.
Ciao.